All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we will be talking about life as an MMORPG, which, for those of you who don't know, that's a massive multiplayer online role playing game. And we're going to talk about an MMORPG in the context of the stories we tell ourselves. So, to get started, I want to kind of explain what an MMORPG is. And basically, you kind of have this avatar, this character in this mysterious world. It's not so mysterious, it's just fun. It's like usually fictional, like dragons and goblins. And I'm thinking specifically of RuneScape, but you have other ones like World of Warcraft, and those are really the only two I've ever played. Another one I can kind of think of, which isn't an MMO, but it's an RPG, Skyrim. Love that game. All the Elder Scrolls. I think you have like Rift, Elder Scrolls Online. Like you have a lot of these games, right? And basically, you have a character in a world that the game developers created. And in this game, you have skills and you have attributes, and you're trying to level up these skills. So you have stuff like your combat ability, whether that's like sword fighting. Wow, I cannot believe I can't think of the word for that. I think it's just attack or strength or your range ability, your archery. In Skyrim, you have like your ability to steal, being a thief, being stealthy, being you have alchemy, the ability to create things. Anyway, you have a bunch of skills. And all of these skills have activities that can improve the skill. So you make potions. Notice that all of this is based on action. You make potions, your alchemy gets better. You steal things successfully, your ability to steal gets better. You attack things successfully, your ability to attack gets better. You do it with a specific weapon, your ability to use that weapon gets better. So all of this is based on action. So you have these skills, and your main character has this life in this world with skills that you're trying to improve based on doing very specific actions. What's cool is when you think about the skill, the action's very clear. It's probably doing that thing. Like that's it. It's a very simple, very simple roadmap, which is why I love thinking about life as an MMO RPG. And the goal is to be the best you can be, max out all the skills or however many you can. Some have a cap, like maybe you can't get to maxed out on everything, or maybe you can max out all the skills, but you can't get all the special abilities for everything because you get a certain amount of points. And I think that also kind of plays into focus. Like in life, you don't have time to be world class at everything. So maybe you're world class at one thing and you're really great at 2 to 3 things, and you get special attributes, if you will, in those things. But with everything else, you partner and you find people who are also good at that thing and you use them to help you. Like on your team, you might have an archer, you might have a mage, you might have a healer, you might have a tank. Like that was a classic World of Warcraft kind of dungeon run. Like you have some DPS units, you have some healing units, and you have some tank units to kind of make up the team. And I think that's a lot like life. You have some things that you specialize in, like in business, you might specialize in marketing. Well, you need somebody to do sales and actually talk to the customers that you attract to the business. And then maybe you need somebody for accounting and logistics. And then you need a kind of boss dude to just execute and implement. And then you need a visionary, right? You need different components. And so in life, you kind of hone these skills, you get really special attributes in a couple of these skills, and then you team up for the rest. So be the best you can be, max out all the skills you can. And when you're playing an MMORPG, you're very careful about how you spend your time. Like, it's funny how intentional we are when we play these games, but how much we lack intention when we're living life. So when you go to play these games, you're like, okay, I know what activity I'm going to do because I know what goal I'm going after. I'm trying to get the skill cape for cooking. So you sit there and you cook for hours and you just buy stuff and you cook, which is another cool thing. A lot of people aren't willing to spend money, right, um, to improve themselves. But in RuneScape, what you would do often is spend money to accelerate your ability to improve that skill. So with cooking, for example, you could go out and you could go kill monsters to get all of the food that you're going to cook, or you could buy it on the Grand Exchange using somebody else's time, leveraging somebody else's goods to improve your skill. And so I think it's similar to life. Like leverage somebody else's knowledge, leverage other people's time, other people's money, other people's experience. Like stand on the shoulders of giants when you're really small, and eventually you'll be a giant that others will stand on the shoulders of. I think that's a really cool concept. but you're really careful about how you spend your time in these MMORPGs because you're really focused. You're like, I want this. This is what I'm going after. I know these are the activities that get me this. That's what I'm doing. And I think it's a very similar thing in life when you're like, I'm focused on this. This is what I'm getting. These are the activities that get me this. That's what I'm doing. You're going to see your results just 10x, 100x because you're so laser focused and you get so much better, so much faster because you know what you're doing. You have that clarity. So that's really what an MMORPG is. I've already kind of explained how it shows up in life. Where has it shown up in my life? Specifically, right now, only in conversations with my brother. I've talked about it a lot, but I'm just now starting to apply it, getting those daily habits, actually forming the XP, actually forming the like skills and daily activities that I can do to get these XP. The other good part about an MMORPG is it's a game. And some people actually think of life as a game. And what happens in a game is if you said, I'm going to get to my cooking skill to 99 in 3 weeks, and something important came up and you didn't get your cooking skill to 99 in 3 weeks, you're like, oh, I still know what activities I need to do. I'm still focused. It just didn't happen. And that's all right because this is a game. I think life's very similar with the goals that we set and that we beat ourselves up over not achieving, right? So say if I'm going to get a net worth of $1 million by 25, like that's a big goal. It's a good goal. How much does that actually matter though? Like, do you need $1 million by 25? Is your family taken care of? Have you woken up every day from 0 to 25? It's probably a pretty great life. And so there are a lot of things that we can be grateful for. There are a lot of things that we're going after that aren't super important, but would be nice to haves. And it's important to keep them in their place of nice to have and not neglect the important things in life. So anyway, lots of lessons we're learning from MMORPGs today. So it's shown up in my life in conversations with my brother. I'm currently kind of drafting it out of where I want to show up this year. And I know this. So when this podcast comes out, this year will probably be halfway over. But right now it's March 10th. So Q1's about to be over. I talk in quarters now because I work at a company. That's funny. But where do I want it to show up in my life? I think this is key. I have 3 skills that I'm trying to develop in 2022. Once you hear this podcast, follow up with me, see how it's going. The first one is raising and multiplying capital. Basically, there's 2 things. You got to raise the capital, which means where does money come from? Where does it grow? In other people's pockets. I know that sounds crass, but it's just the truth. Like, think about what money you've ever generated on your own. It's only ever come from other people. Even if you worked, the only reason you had a place to work is because somebody created something for you to work in, and then that thing created income and they gave it to you. So you've never, ever created money. Like, nobody's out here printing money except for the government, and we ain't gonna talk about that. But raising and multiplying capital, you raise money from other people and then you multiply it. So Cody Sanchez, who is on Instagram, she's like boring business gal, Austin, Texas as well. She talks about being a deal maker. And that's what this skill is really about. Like, when you raise capital, you have to think, why would somebody give me their capital? Well, one, they're probably really busy doing something that's really important. Like, they have a set number of skills and they want to multiply their capital because they have an excess of capital. So they want to create that generational wealth, but they don't want to spend the time to learn how to invest in real estate, pick great stocks, or start that startup that's going to scale and 100x their extra capital, right? So if you raise that capital from them and you're like, hey, I have this idea, this is going to be great. I'm a deal maker. I'm confident. We talked about self-confidence in the last Law of Success series. If you can do that, you can raise the money. And if you can keep their money safe and multiply it by finding good deals, you're doing all right. So I think some of the daily disciplines there will be really just talking to people. Like, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Shout out Brad Lee. Raise that money by talking to people, being a deal maker, meaning you always have deals coming through. So the raise part, talk to people every day. The multiplying part is look at deals every day. That's how you raise and multiply capital. That deal can be a real estate deal, a small business deal. By the way, if you're listening to this and you don't know that you can buy small businesses in a leveraged position, take on debt to buy a cash flowing asset, which is a small business. Like, I knew you could do this with real estate, but recently learning about mergers and acquisitions and how much the average person can actually be in the game, please look it up. It will change your life. Raising and multiplying capital is the first skill that I want this MMORPG concept to show up in my life this year for 2022. Then I want to be able to capture and multiply attention in growing this podcast. I was going I've been going daily for a while now, and 90 days. It's not that long, but I'm 22, so my perspective's a little 90 days is a long time for me, but it's also a really short time, is what I'm realizing. But in capturing and multiplying attention, I really want to not only go daily with my podcast, but actually drive traffic to my podcast. Like, I want it to be a skill. Like, I don't want it to be left up to luck. So what things can I do daily to drive traffic to my podcast? Now, that's obviously posting content on social media, but there's more than that. Like, I've been posting content and it hasn't exactly been getting traction. So it's like optimizing content. That's a skill. Consistency in content. That's a skill. And then there's also like building that email list. There are ways that you can leverage ads, picking up leads at 10 cents, 30 cents, a dollar a pop. I'd pay $100 to get 100 people to my email list. I'd pay $100 to get 100 subscribers. I'd pay $200 to get 100 subscribers, right? And so if I can leverage ads as well as free ways to generate traffic, and I can hone that skill, I can really blow this podcast up, which will change my life, change my family's life, and escalate me towards alleviating poverty around the world. So that's what I'm about. That's what I want to do. And then the other skill is intimacy with myself. So I talked about self-confidence in the last Law of Success series, and I want to grow into intimacy with myself, loving myself, caring for myself, showing up for myself consistently. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And, I just keep that commitment to myself. And that's kind of the stuff for that is really like consistent breathwork / meditation / prayer, consistent working out, a consistent wake up time, like really small things of like, hey, I'm committing to this. I'm going to take care of myself. Also being clear with boundaries and setting boundaries, and my self-talk. Like if I have real negative self-talk, like those are some of the ways I can be more intimate with myself. Yeah, just walk through life with me. And there's this book, I think, or this concept or this quote or something like that. Everywhere you go, again, everywhere you go, there you are. I think that's real key. Like when you have a lot of problems in life that keep cropping up, or life's always negative, or life's always gloomy, it might have something to do with you. And it might have something to do with the fact that you are not intimate with yourself. You don't have that self-confidence. You don't love yourself consistently. You don't show up for yourself consistently. So those are the 3 skills that I want to build out in 2022, and really raising and multiplying capital. Big real estate guy, big generational wealth guy. That's my wealth plan. Capturing and multiplying attention. That's kind of my like income plan. Like if I can do that with the podcast, if I can capture and multiply attention, like attention is currency. You can do a lot with attention. And so if I can capture it and multiply it, not only can I monetize it, but then I can use the skill that I am really good at, which 3 of these 4 skills came from Alex Hormozy. And I think it's changing people's beliefs or inspiring people to change their beliefs and change their action at like no cost to yourself. And capture and multiplying attention at no cost to yourself, raising and multiplying capital at no cost to yourself. And so those are 3 things, like we're all on the spectrum on that. And I think that whole changing somebody's beliefs, changing somebody's ideas, and prompting new action, like the people we look up to the most have done that. And it's because the world we live in is a human world. And humans really, really have a kind of intrinsic problem. I like to call it sin, but a lot of people just, suffering, longing, whatever it may be, that needs to be dealt with. And I think all of our feelings revolve around that. And yeah, I love doing that for people. But to do it effectively at scale, I need to be able to raise and multiply capital. I need to be able to capture and multiply attention so that I can put the systems in place and function in a one-on-one capacity to change the beliefs, change the hearts, and change the actions of people, and really push those people towards becoming their best self, which I think our best self is always when we are in service to others, which obviously aligns with my end goal, and I hope everybody's end goal of alleviating poverty around the world. So how can you apply this to your life? Maybe I should put this earlier in the podcast. I don't know. You guys let me know if you like hearing about me first and then how you can apply it, or if you want to know how you can apply it first and then hear about me. But decide on a skill you want to hone this year that targets an area of your life that you want to improve. So if you want to improve your finances, if you want to improve your relationships with others, with yourself, your hobbies, whatever it may be, whatever you want to improve, write down a skill that targets that area. And then after you write down the skill, so say you want to improve your relationships, and to improve your relationships, you need to be a better communicator. So write down The skill I want to hone is communication. Well, how do you become a better communicator? What are some daily actions? It could be read a book on communication, listen to a podcast on communication. Get this, communicate with people. Really? This is just free nuggets right here. The best communication, the best conversation comes from listening and then not thinking about yourself. That's probably the best way to do that. But anyway, that was short, sweet nugget. I'm not here to tell you what skill to hone. I'm just saying pick a skill that targets an area you want to improve. Write down the daily actions. They should be apparent. If they're not apparent, break down the skill more. Like you may be too broad. Like, for example, if it's communication, it might be communicating with my girlfriend. Well, now you know, okay, I need to communicate with my girlfriend more. If that's the case, you guys can just set up a time to communicate and then reflect on that time and ask her for criticism. Again, we have that fear of criticism, but if we're secure in our relationship, if we're secure in who we are, we can take constructive criticism. And write down the daily actions, the weekly actions, assign yourself a current level. So if you were like on a scale of 1 to 99 of communicating with my girlfriend, I'm currently at a 10. Well, you should probably hurry up and improve that, but you don't even have to hurry up and do it. You just have to start, because that's better than what you were doing before, which was nothing. So start improving that skill, and say at level 10, it takes 500 XP to get to level 11, right? And every time you communicate with your girlfriend at your weekly meeting, it's 100 XP. If you do it really well, it's 200 XP. Well, within a couple months, you're going to see yourself at level 15. Within a couple more months, you're going to see yourself at level 20. And maybe you figure out a good way to communicate that you can do daily. It's like, listen to my girlfriend when she talks about her day at work. You can assign an XP to that activity as well. And maybe that gets you 500 XP because it really makes your girlfriend happy. And then you just start leveling up. You start leveling up. And then what's key, and something I really want to touch on here, is belief in oneself. I think the best part about this MMORPG, like designing your life this way, is you'll see yourself improving in very intangible skills. You'll see tangible improvement in intangible skills. So communication is hard to measure, but you will consider yourself to be improving in communication. And we have this thing called confirmation bias. And when we believe something about ourselves, we seek evidence that proves that. So we will start to act like a better communicator to see evidence that we are a better communicator, and then it'll just be a positive cycle. And if you doubt that, think about some of the negative cycles in your life, because I promise you they're there. And think about how you always look for evidence to affirm a belief that you currently have, whether that's I can only make X amount of money per year. I'm always going to have relationships that X, this, that, and the other. You're already looking for evidence to confirm your belief. So you might as well use that and make it confirm a positive belief, if that makes sense. So assign XP to each activity, do the activity, log the XP, see your increase in level, and soon you're going to be a level 35 communicator when it comes to communicating with your girlfriend. And the other thing I want to say is, notice I put the scale from 1 to 99. The XP per level should increase. So maybe when you're at 10, it's 500 XP. When you're at 30, it's 10,000 XP to get to 31. And when you're at 60, it's 30,000 XP to get to 61. And when you're at 90, it's 400,000 XP to get to 91. Like, the levels will start requiring more XP as you skill up. And also create max levels, but as you see your mind expand and you're like, oh, I can really communicate with my girlfriend better than I thought I ever could, increase that max level. So maybe to start, your scale is from 1 to 30. And you're like, oh, I can be a level 40 communicator with my girlfriend. I can be a level 70 communicator with my girlfriend, and just keep expanding the scale as your mind expands, because your mind will expand as you improve. And yeah, update the game as your mindset grows. And that's all I got, guys. Life as an MMORPG. I really think it could do a lot. On that note, thanks for listening. As we always ask, send this podcast to 1 to 3 people you know need to hear this message. Shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we're out.